Welcome back to the Child Abuse Prevention Program. In our last video, we talked about the first several steps in the grooming process that child sexual abusers use to seduce children and keep them from disclosing abuse. Our topics included how child sexual abusers build trust, gain access, identify the vulnerable, isolate kids, and desensitize kids to touch. So let's pick up where we left off. Child sexual abusers introduce intimacy as they begin to move the conversation from professional to personal and from general to sexual. In middle school, it's powerful to conjure up images in the minds of these hormonal preteens that they may have a hard time letting go of. The child sexual abuser may share something personal, such as, I shower sitting down, or ask the student if they have ever touched the private parts of their boyfriend or girlfriend, or someone of the same sex. If the child shows shame or embarrassment, the child sexual abuser may apologize for being so forward, but let them know that it's nothing to be ashamed of, and then go on to talk about their own preteen sexual encounters and fantasies. Child sexual abusers try to create complicity because one of the best ways to keep a child from disclosing sexual abuse is to make them believe it was their fault. Child sexual abusers try to get kids to break the rules or even break the law in partnership with them, such as staying in the classroom after school, taking a ride in their car, or using drugs, alcohol, or pornography together. If abuse happens under any of these circumstances, the child would be disclosing their own wrongdoing if they were to disclose the abuse. The other way child sexual abusers achieve complicity is by twisting the truth to redirect the blame, such as telling a child, I can't help myself because you're so sexy, or you were asking for it with that short dress. If a child sexual abuser can get a child to believe these lies, it leaves them with a deep sense of shame, so they would never want anyone to know the truth of what happened. Both of these ways of creating complicity are very effective in keeping children from disclosing abuse. Child sexual abusers need to be sure a child can and will keep a secret before they actually cross the line to sexualize them. So they'll start by breaking rules and boundaries that are fairly insignificant at first, something they could easily talk their way out of if the child told. They'll wait to see if they're confronted by a parent or a supervisor, and if not, they'll move forward to break a more significant boundary. If they're confronted, they'll make their excuses and remove that child from their short list of potential victims. They don't want to run the risk of being caught, which is why they're constantly testing the waters along the way. And every time a child keeps a secret, they're less likely to tell the next secret, even if it's worse, because they're ashamed that they didn't tell before. Silence is absolutely necessary. Without it, child sexual abusers can't continue, so they will do anything to maintain it. The foundation for creating silence is built through many of the steps we've discussed, but once a child sexual abuser crosses the line and molests a child, they must actively enforce the silence. Sometimes they'll play on the heartstrings of a child and say, I'll get in trouble if you tell, but most of the time, outright threats are used to maintain silence. These threats are age specific and chosen to create enough fear to ensure the child doesn't tell. Threats used to create fear in young children include, I'll kill your dog, or your parents won't want you anymore. Whereas in middle school and high school, child sexual abusers are more likely to use threats of molesting younger siblings or posting nude photos they've secretly taken on the internet. If necessary, child sexual abusers will use physical violence or weapons to make their point. Though we have depicted this process in steps, it's really a cyclical process that creates a deeper stronghold on a child over time. As we mentioned last time, each of these steps provide bystanders opportunities to recognize danger and intercede on behalf of a child. However, a research study found that only 11% of educators say that they would report a colleague who they thought was sexually abusing a child. What would you do?